something. The interview. You can go ahead.
No, yeah, go.
The interview that you recorded earlier, she was like far away from the mic, and that was concerning to me. But I didn't want to like tell her to keep scooting closer.
Yeah. So I had to. The audio picked up.
It did.
I kind of had to play with it.
Yeah, bring it up a little bit.
Bring it up, and then when she stopped talking, bring it down. But it's all good, man. You know.
Yeah, well, isn't that what like that position's intended for?
Yeah,
Control all those variables.
You know, I'm on the ones and twos.
See, I was hoping you would like just like tell
I was trying to get their attention. They were, if you're not used to being on camera, it can
you can't catch those signals and stuff.
Well, and you're focused in, and I'm not gonna like get up and start waving my arms around and be like, "Come on, get close to the mic."
But I think that I'm gonna learn from that, and whoever I do have that's off camera. Is going to be like I'll have like a set of hand signals or gestures that are going to be like predetermined. So whenever the interviewee or even myself is talking and I need some type of coaching, like hey, you need to turn it up. Like I have like certain hand signals that I can just catch out of my peripheral without having to look over. And like,
and if like I said, if you're doing it, if you're going to do it like recorded. If it gets bad enough, you could be like, "Oh, hold on, guys! Like, we need you to."
Well, I knew that we were gonna do that, but I also didn't want to like. There was a flow that kept happening. I didn't want to stop that.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop that either. So I mean, it's fine. It worked out.
Right on.
There might be a couple points when you start talking, you'll notice where I turned their mic down a little bit, but audio.
Because I talk pretty loud. Like.
Yeah, well, you have a speaking presence, but dude, we are live.
Here we go.
Welcome to Nooner Nation, the podcast
there.
for Nooners by Nooners. Dude, we got the first in-studio guest here.
I'm the first one?
First one. First one.
No way.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
Yeah, so, it's typically we do this through Zoom. And so, in the minor league studios, and he was blown away at,
I mean, for a home shop, and you got like the studio. It's like a creative space. It's not just let me print some shirts. It's an actual creative space. Like you can come down here and just let loose.
Yeah, and I put away like all the weird stuff, the sex swings, and the dog cages full of rented women from Ukraine.
He's probably not joking.
No, well, I gave up that life. That was.
Yeah.
But I mean, I met my wife that way. So
okay.
Some good came out of it.
Keep the tradition alive.
But so like I said, first guest in the studio. I'm super excited, and actually, I'm glad I got to spend some time with the guest over the week, or else I'd be a little nervous and fanboying because we're not going to get into print nerd stuff like I did in that one episode with the other screen printer. Because this isn't the audience for that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about starting something maybe for that later. But no, guy's got a super awesome story. He's a rock star in the screen printing world. And he happened to just be in Des Moines helping some other screen printing friends of mine set up their new machine. So I asked him, I reached out and said, hey, I know you're doing some blog stuff. I've got all the video equipment. Like, let's link up. I'll produce that. And if at the start of the show, you probably saw that we were talking about, the interview today. So we'll definitely at the end of the show, we'll let Richard say where you can go find that, where you can see my my awesome producing work and his incredible interviewing skills and the story. Even if you're not into screen printing, Andrew and Chantel's story is just fantastic. So I definitely would advise going and checking that. But without further ado, I'm joined by Richard Tilley.
What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
That was pretty epic there.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man.
Well, you know what? You stood out in a huge crowd of people. Like you said, hey, let me just jump in and let me offer something. Let me help the situation better. I know you're going to be in town. Let me do something. Yeah. And what caught my attention about that is that's the same exact thing I would do for somebody if they were coming to my town, and I knew of them or had some type of like relationship with them or whatever, to where I know like, hey, you're going to be in my town, let me take care of you.
Yeah.
And you doing that was awesome. So there's no way I'm not going to come by and spend some time with you and get to know you, man, because you are a different breed of person to even offer that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely known for standing out because, as you'll see in this and what you probably haven't seen, because I keep it fairly regulated, around certain people. Mm-hmm. Like the boys, super nice people, my typical way of speaking and stuff is not their style. I know how to handle that.
Yeah.
Awesome. But I tend to say off the wall shit, funny stuff, you know, because I mean, you live once. Why be all stuffy about it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, my first question though is, has anybody ever told you that you look like a pretty fucking intense dude?
That I what?
That you look like a pretty intense dude?
No, not at all. I actually think that I look goofy, to be honest with you.
I don't know, man. I'm sure like TSA agents, when you get mad.
Well, I mean, I think that maybe coming from Des Moines, you know,
Right.
me, like what I look like is a little bit different to the area. So maybe that might be what you're getting.
No,
but
man, you got you got black hoodie, knuckle tats, you know, you're just one big tattoo, flat billed hat, you know.
Yeah, it's a nice one too.
Yeah. You got gave you that hat. It's,
No, I mean, I think that it's just my style. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had all of these, like the tattoo thing I've had done since I was like 21. So from like 18 to 21, I really went aggressive with the tattoos. And in that era, it wasn't popular to get a lot of tattoos. It was still like, it hadn't become commercialized or anything like that to where it's at now, where there's TV shows and all this other stuff. So back then I was probably a lot scarier looking than you. Cause I mean, what I look like now is more common these days. Everyone's got everything all over the place, and it's more like accepted in culture these days. And so back then I had a lot harder time. Like I stood out a lot back then.
So do you like ever look at like SoundCloud rappers and shit and just be like, dude, I did this before it was.
You know what's funny is yes, but then I try not to be like that old dude that's like back in my day.
The old head.
So I try not to do that. So it's like I just accept it. You know, it just is what it is. Yes, I did all that. I had face tattoos way before you did. I actually have a bunch that I got removed. So I have some above my eyebrows. I got some on my cheeks. And that's why I can't even grow a beard anymore, because I've had laser removal of tattoo. And so that's the same thing as removing hair. So my hair doesn't grow here. It grows all weird on my face now. And so, but like I see that and I'm like, dude, been there, done that, but you can have it.
Yeah, you had to walk uphill both ways to the tattoo shop in the snow.
In the snow, the whole nine, What's funny is I got my face tattooed on my bed in my bedroom, like my buddy, my roommate was a tattoo artist, and you know, after he would leave the shop at the end of the day, go back to the house and like, all right, let's do something, let's do a little something. And we were having a party one night at the house, and he's like, let's do something different. And I was like what? And he's like, let's do a face tat. And I was like, all right. And so we did my cheeks, both my cheeks on my bed in the middle of a party I was having at my house. And I just come out of my room, face all red, covered in ink. Oh man. I actually do regret some of those things though.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, like I said, you only live once, and you know, technology now, they're not there anymore. You know, you can erase some of this stuff. I'm sure. What's worse, getting them on or getting them off?
I think getting them on really, it's the process both ways is not great. You know, I don't like it. Everyone's always asking, oh, does that hurt? Does that hurt? They all hurt. Some just hurt more than others. You know, like my ribs or my stomach or like the top of my head, whatever. Like that stuff was like excruciating, but it's just like a rite of passage. You know, like you just go through this like pain and you just live in it, and you don't have a choice, and then outcome is something that you like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My only one is down my ribs, and I got it on my couch.
Yeah.
You know, because like my roommate's girlfriend was a tattoo artist, and she was like over one day, like around Christmas. She's like, "Oh, do you want a tattoo for Christmas?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." She like just ran to the car and got her stuff. I was like, "Oh, right now?" Like, okay.
Oh, right now. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, and the ribs hurt too. So.
Yeah, it was a weird feeling because it's like pain, relief. In between, then you get on top of the next one, like pain, and then it goes down low enough to where it hit the top of my hip, and that's when it really hurt.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like soft tissue in that area.
Well, I'm like, I was even thinner back then, so there was no soft tissue, man. It was just skin and bone.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine.
So yeah, it was just vibrating off my hip, you know. But yeah, so not here to talk about your journey through tattoos, but one thing that really I wanted to get into, because I heard you on another podcast, which really kind of clued me into like really wanting to talk to you, because dude, like your story of where you were and the events in your life that got you here are just nuts. Like not like when you lived them, man.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, it's your life. But just for me on the outside hearing about it, I'm like, man, like this is a story that people need to hear.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I've only given the watered down version of my story, and I only do that because I feel like I don't even want to remember everything.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like I share the things that are like, they're not too far crazy, because there's a lot of things that like would kill people if I like talked about it.
Right,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And so I just choose not to talk about a lot of things, and I just share like what wouldn't affect other people in the situations. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So it's like the real story is like out of this world, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. And I mean, not even as bad as like some of the stuff that I heard Chantel and Andrew go through, man. Like their stuff. I tried to talk about it in that interview, and I could tell that they were trying to divert away from it. And so I just steered away from it altogether.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff they told me in private, like I can't believe that stuff, man. Like,
oh yeah,
they're mentally tough, and to have the outlook that they have still, and they're still happy and wanting to do what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy, bro.
So for sure. So, I mean, I guess like start with like how did you get into what started you in screen printing?
Well, what's actually started me, like the screen printing was.
Or I guess sorry, like your story, like how you kind of came who you are, right? Like where's that story start? Like from what I've heard, it's you kind of were in I'm not going to speak your life, we're like not in a great place in life, right? And then found screen printing. So like tell me about that. Like what?
Well, my journey into the creative space altogether started when I was probably like 12 or 13. I was on Microsoft Paint, and I used to copy pictures off the internet. And this is when we had dial-up internet, where you had to make all the noises, and if somebody picked up the phone, you had to yell at them because they kicked you off the internet. That era. Yeah. And so I would get images off the internet of like blank T-shirts, and then I would put them in my Paint thing, and then I would get like other images of stuff I liked, and then I would crop it and then put it over. And so that was my intro to like graphic design, making my own brand T-shirts, and I would show people. I'd print them out and be like, oh, I'm gonna make this into a shirt one day. I'll make a brand and all stuff. And I had no idea what I was actually talking about, but it was, the inspiration was there somehow. And so I didn't do anything with it at all until like I think I was in art class in high school. I used to break dance a lot. That was like my interest for like years.
Yeah. So where were you like at this time? Like
this is Moreno Valley, California.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like Riverside County.
Okay. What's that, like Southern California? Or?
Yeah. Southern California. So it's like north of San Diego by 2 hours.
Gotcha.
So San Diego's like Mexico. Yeah. And then you just go north a little bit.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Huntington Beach.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So Huntington Beach is on the water, obviously. So if you were to go inland, about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minute stops. If you just went straight from the beach in. So Huntington, all that was like right there for us. LA was about an hour away. Yeah. Riverside's right there, 30 minutes. And then Moreno Valley was like our city.
Gotcha.
And so in high school, my teacher one day was just like, hey, we're going to silk screen a T-shirt. So make a stencil. So I made this little breakdancing, like 3 breakdancing guys doing 3 different moves. And I don't remember how we made the actual screen now that I think about it. I don't remember that process. Excuse me. But I brought in a white T-shirt, a little Hanes T-shirt, and then I don't remember how the ink got onto the shirt, but I did something to where the ink transferred onto the shirt, and then I used like a heat gun to cure it. Yeah. And then I wore that shirt. Like I was like, oh shit! Like I made my own shirt. Like this is crazy, and didn't do anything with it then either. Just made a shirt in class. It was cool. Made designs when I was younger. It was cool. It was something fun for me. I used to try to design video games, and then I got to being Mr. Cool and ego and getting all the tattoos and being in the bar scene and all. This was after high school, so like 21-ish. And from there, it like led into just the people led me into drugs, and then it just became all about drugs and alcohol and partying, Hollywood. And then this is when I did like this. I kicked it with a lot of celebrity people, like the famous Stars and Straps people, like Travis Barker and all those guys. All the gangster guys they kicked it with in LA. One guy was named Mr. Triggs. He passed away, but super cool dude. And then just whoever, like some guys from like Cypress Hill, you know, I ran into Steve-O from Jackass, and him and I had a few conversations.
First time I ever smoked weed was with Be Real from Cypress Hill.
Yeah, so I saw Sendog all the time.
By the way.
Right on, dude. Yeah, Be Real's cool, but I would always see Sendog. He was always out in like the West Hollywood scene, like Rainbow Bar and Key Club and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'd see all these guys, and that was like my era for a while. And then it just, when I was with my buddy Jesse, who was the tattoo artist guy I was talking about earlier, we would be out and everybody knew who we were because they saw us everywhere. You know, Paul Wall and all these other people were just hanging out with everybody, bro. Rick Thorne was one of my friends for a while. And we were like, you know, everybody knows us, but what do they know us for?
Right.
They only know us because they know us.
Right.
Because they see us. And we're just in these circles and we look like we belong with these people.
Right.
So that's why they give us love, and that's why, you know, we're in these circles. But we add no value and we can't do anything. Like, we're not making money by just hanging out with a bunch of people. That's not doing anything for us. It's not taking us to what we see in our mind where we want to be. So we're like, what do we do? And I don't remember exactly how it manifested into this, but this is what happened. So I didn't have anywhere to live, and my friend Jesse, we lived at this house at one time where he tattooed me at. That house got ruined by my drug and alcohol habit, and I got kicked out of there, and it wasn't a house anymore, and then I'm just floating around. End up at Jesse's house on his couch in his garage. So he had like a 3-car garage. Mm-hmm. It's a two and a one. Mm-hmm. So he blocked off the one and made it like a tattoo studio. And he had a couch in there, TV. Like, it was nice too. Like, the floors were done and stuff. Yeah. He had crown molding and everything.
Nice.
But nonetheless, the couch that was there was covered in spider webs and it was nasty as hell. And for some reason, that was the one thing that wasn't nice in there. And anyway, so I'm laying on the couch one night. I'm sure I was probably strung out and just not feeling good. And I'm laying there. And I think I was playing Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo. Yeah. And I'm sitting there playing Mario Brothers, and he walks in because he had a little door to it. It's like completely like its own room. He walks in, he goes, "Hey man, you want to start a clothing company?" And I was like, "Man, anything's better than what I'm doing right now." Yeah. And he was like, "All right, well, let's figure this out." So we had a buddy that was a skateboarder that knew Photoshop. We knew that he knew Photoshop. So we picked him up, brought him back to the house. This is, weeks later or whatever. And then we're like, all right, we want to see this. This is how we want it to look. Just describing all the graphics. I didn't know how to use Photoshop at all. And so I told him everything we wanted. Then we made an entire line, like an entire clothing line. And then we were like, okay, so how do we make shirts now?
Right.
And so what we did was we looked into it and we found a machine called a T-Jet. It was a DTG machine.
Gotcha.
Mind you, this was 20 years ago, somewhere around there. And so we went and found out it was about $30K, put it on credit, got this machine, and then we took it back, but it could only print like a small surface area. Like the little platen was really small. We're like, nah, man, like we want to compete with companies that were big at the time. There's a company called 187 Clothing that was really big. There was another one.
We're talking about like Stars and Straps. They had like
huge prints. Yeah. So in that era at that time, huge prints were in. They went away and now they're coming back again. But at that time, it was all over, like on the sleeves. They want like there was fools making screens that were like the emulsion was the shape of a T-shirt, and they were printing the entire T-shirt. Yeah. And so we were like, yo, we need to play in that market. So how do we do that? And so what we did was I manipulated the machine. I bought plexiglass from Home Depot, and I made a long platen, the whole size of a fucking like a 2XL shirt, and I made it wider, and then I went in the software and manipulated the software, and then I was just like, let's see what happens, man. And sure enough, bro, first one that hit was the entire T-shirt, other than sleeves, obviously, but like the whole body of the shirt, front and back. And I was like, dude, I figured it out. So we figured that out. And then we started this brand, and then we had to figure out how to make a website, how to market it to retailers. We were 22, 23 at the time, like trying to figure all these things out. And it was actually gaining traction because we were already well known.
Right. Yeah.
When we put the garments out there in all the clubs, all the it was something different. It was new. It was DTG. It was realistic prints. They were huge. Everybody else was screen printing, so nobody else was doing. They were just doing stencil style, just basically spot color. Yeah. And we were doing full like beautiful images on shirts that were just off the wall, and it was all LA like streetwear based, So it was a different texture, and so it was pretty popular. But then I noticed that I was giving more time to this project than my partner Jesse was, and it kind of got under my skin because like now I'm in hustle mode. I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm working out. I'm getting designs done. I'm getting the website going. I'm getting orders. I'm making photo shoots and I'm doing all this stuff, and then he's getting up at like noon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I did like 2 days worth of work already, man. Where you at? And like, it was consistently happening to the point of where like I have to do something else because I'm not just going to carry this dude on my back the whole time.
Right.
And he was my friend, but it was like, this is still like, we're on to something and I'm not going to lose my momentum because you are deciding to do whatever, you're getting comfortable or whatever. Yeah. And so I was like, what if I started my own brand on the side, and then I just figure out, do the whole thing and just do it on my own and see let me just like do like a case study. And I built my own brand off to the side. I did all my own designs because I figured out Photoshop on my own. I figured all the website stuff out. I figured everything out. And then that started getting traction. And then he's like, yo, what's up, man? Like, this is a conflict of interest. And I was like, yeah, but dude, like, you're never like available, bro. And I'm on go mode right now. Like, you tapped into something for me. I gotta go. And he's like, well, this ain't gonna work out, man. You gotta go. And I was like, shit, like I didn't have my machine anymore. Then I had to like figure out how to print. And another issue that we were having was these big ass prints that we were doing were really expensive because the ink for DTG at that time was like $900 for the case of 4, and it wouldn't go through too many shirts before I needed more. So I was having to charge, like I was charging $40 to $60 just for one shirt, like retail, for like if you bought it directly from me. And then we were trying to go to wholesale. And when we went to the retailers, they were buying shirts, screen printer for like $8 wholesale.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, look, it cost me more than $8 to make this shirt, bro. Like, there's no way. I was like, I can wholesale it to like 18. And he's like, get out of here, fool. So that's when we had to make our own website and do our own e-commerce. But anyway, so I had to figure out another way of printing. And then that's when I found out about screen printing.
Right.
So I wasn't even until like 23 when I found out about screen printing, like what it actually was. Nice. And then bought a little setup, and then I had this little Chinese dude that was I had to get another space too, by the way, during all this. So I rented a space, and in my business park was a screen print supply shop. Like, well, how handy. Lucky was I? I literally, like, I could walk from here to there with like 20, 30 steps, and he's right there. Right. And he was super cool, and he taught me, burned my screens. He like taught me everything. Like, he's like, dude, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And he always give me, like, if I need inks or if I didn't have money for something, he'd make sure I got it, whatever I needed. And he took care of me. And that's where I learned how to screen print, was from that dude.
Nice. Yeah. What was the clothing brand?
The first one was called Arrogant Apparel.
Okay.
I remember my buddy, that guy Jesse, and I, we were sitting in this car. We were smoking a blunt. And we're super lit, and we're just sitting there. And we're like, what are we going to call this clothing brand? And we're listening to a Lil Wayne song. This is when Lil Wayne had every song on the radio. He was like just saturated everything. And we're sitting there, and he said something about being arrogant in one of the songs. I was like, damn, arrogant. I like that name because it kind of matched with who we were at the time, and just like, And so the first brand we called Arrogant, which is this huge A I have blasted on the side of my ribs. My whole ribs is our first logo. And then the second brand was called LA Bound. And I called it that because I was trying to leverage that company to get me to LA where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the hustle and bustle. I wanted to be in the garment district hustling. I wanted to be at American Apparel. I wanted to be over there at AAA. I wanted to be everywhere. And so LA was like really where my sights were set. So I called the second company LA Bound, and it did its thing, man. Yeah. And I was in LA all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with that, I mean, you got to LA off your clothing brand. Mm-hmm. So then what happened to it?
So what happened was a buddy of mine named Brian Williams, rest in peace, Brian. He didn't introduce me. I had a buddy that was already a good friend of mine. He was an old roommate of mine. But he introduced me to the world of debt collections. And the guy that ran the debt collections just passed away last year. Rest in peace to him as well, Wayne Swanson. So when he was my roommate, I used to see these novelty checks in the corner of his room, like those big ones that you get for winning prizes. He had like 20 of them, 18,000, 40,000, 36,000, 25,000. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I didn't know. Right. I never asked him. Like I just knew him as a baller. He was always a baller. He just knew how to make money.
You thought he was like going out and winning golf tournaments? Like Happy Gilmore?
Yeah, like dude, that basically he had like a bunch of them in the back of the car like that, like in Happy Gilmore. And so when when Brian came to my shop one day to buy some shirts, he's like, yo, Wayne wants to talk to you. He hasn't seen you in a while. And I was like, man, what's he up to? He's like, dude, just come by the office and let's talk. And I was like, all right, set up a lunch. So he set it up, and then I went down there, and then it was like I walked into like the movie Boiler Room.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so it was just like people at cubicles getting the phone, just commotion, loud. And I was like, what the fuck? There's so much energy in here. And so he was like, you want to try it? And I was like, dude, this is cool. You guys are getting hand over fist cash. Yeah, give me a seat. And he's like, cool, I got you, man. So I came and did it, and I was so bad. Like so bad. But it was like 30 days in or 60 days in, and I had made like $300, right? I was just like, it was right before Christmas too. And granted, I was single at the time, so I didn't have any like issues. I didn't have to worry about anything. But I remember going in the office and talking to Wayne, and I was like, yo, man, like, I don't think this is for me. And I didn't realize he was on the phone with somebody. Some dude was on speakerphone. I have an idea of who this was, but I'm not sure 100%. But I feel like it's this guy, Stuart. And I hear this voice on the phone, Rich. And I was like, what's up, man? He goes, listen to me. He goes, hang in there 30 more days. I promise you will never want to do anything again for the rest of your life. Because it was Christmas time. So no one's paying debts around Christmas time. No one's paying debts around Black Friday.
Right.
I didn't know this at the time. I was still fresh to the industry. So I started November 2nd, 2010, my first day in collections. And I tried to quit before the end of the year. Then that conversation happened. And the very next month, I made like 3 Gs. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. Yeah. I'll hang in there a little bit longer. Even though 3 Gs isn't a lot, it was still like better than 300 over 60 days. Like, and I made it in a quick period of time. And I was like, okay. So I hung in there, and I spent like another 5 months there. And I had met my wife. It was March 1st. March 1st of 2011 is when I met my wife face to face. And her and I had gone to Vegas. We were like, yo, let's go to Vegas for the weekend and go well out. And we went out there, and I had this Silverado, this black Silverado on 26-inch rims, subs in it, the whole, like, just super decked out, murdered out, fucking just the whole thing.
Yeah, that sounds like a 2010s LA baller car for sure.
So I was doing that, and we were staying at Hooters. So I pulled in the Hooters valet, I didn't even grab my bags. I was like, I'm going to get them in the morning because we showed up late. Excuse me. And so valet the truck, we just go in the room. I'm going to there hanging out, and I just pass out on the bed. I wake up the next day, and I go to valet. I need to get my bags. And they come back like, yeah, I don't see your truck. And I was like, yeah, well, I gave it to your guy. Go ahead and go in that spot where he left it. Figure it out. Walk up and down with my remote if you have to until you hear the thing honk. I don't care how you do it. Just get it done. Yeah. And they do that for a while. Come back. There's no truck. There's no truck. There's no truck. And I was like, okay. They're like, I think your truck's stolen. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And so we go to the security office, and they're going through the tapes, and they showed me the guy stealing my truck. They showed me the guy pull up, do the Jimmy in the window, hop in, and just take off. And I was like, how did they know to go straight up to just my truck and grab all my stuff and dip out? How did they know that?
Yeah.
So there was obviously a hustle going on between valet and whoever. Yo, there's a car here. It's got the 12s, it's got the rims, it's got everything you need. And all his luggage is in there. Yeah. And so all my stuff was
probably rocking some Louis luggage or something.
No, it wasn't nothing. I wasn't at that level yet. But nonetheless, like, they took all my stuff, all my hats. I had a huge hat collection I brought with me because I've always been a hat guy. And
you're trying to like ball out with the new girlfriend.
The new lady. Like, we're trying to live it good. And then what's crazy, this is where it gets weird, bro. We end up having to stay there because, like, we're trying to find my truck. Like, I'm not just going to leave without my truck. Right, I know they just wanted the stuff. They wanted the rims. They wanted the stereo, whatever. Insurance will cover it.
Yeah, you're going to find it on blocks somewhere.
And that's what happened. Happening. So we said, let's just stay here for a little bit. So like 2 weeks we stayed there. And then we start running out of money because we're staying there, and we're staying in these nice hotels, steak dinners. And it was just, we were just eating like in just
2 weeks
living. And I didn't go back to work.
A long time, man.
Yeah, and I didn't go back to work, which is where all my bread comes from. So like it was starting to dry up, and so we ended up at this Motel 6, right? So we're like, fuck it. Let's just hit the Motel 6. I think they said they found my truck. They're going to take it to a tow yard. They're going to put some little whatever wheels on it so it can move.
Put some steelies on it.
Yeah, they're going to put something on there. And so we're like, during this intermission, we're like trying to wait for it to get it all resolved so we can pick my truck up. And then I had a warrant in Vegas from years prior. I got a DUI, and I was like, I'm not coming back to Vegas. I'm never going to court for this. Like, forget that. So I just never took care of it, right? And so we go to Motel 6, and this is a year when, this is 2011. The Celtics were in the playoffs against the Lakers. I was watching the playoffs. I was laying in the bed, sitting there watching playoffs, and I get a call on the phone, and they're like, yo, hey, this is the front desk. We just recently worked on your AC. Want to make sure everything's working good. And I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Wouldn't you test that when you worked on it? Why are you calling me to ask me that shit? Anyways, all right. Get out the phone. Within minutes, dude, boom, 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 Richard Tilley. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so opened the door, and the warrant for my DUI for a non-appearance had popped up. And I was like, how do you even know I'm here? Like, what the fuck? And they were like, Big Brother. So Motel 6, if a felon, or not felon, excuse me, if someone with a warrant, excuse me, a bench warrant or anything like that, or a felon, I guess, gets they check in, they report it through their system, and then they just pick people up, because obviously people are going to go to a Motel 6 with people with issues. You know, I didn't even think anything of it, wasn't crossing my mind, nothing, man, and I get taken off to jail. And I spent like 30 days in jail.
Good God, man.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, he'll be out by Monday, something like that. And it was like a Thursday or Friday. And so come Monday, I go to court, and the judge looks at me and he goes, you're not going anywhere. You're serving 30 days. And I was like, oh, like, I just met this girl. She's known me for like a week, and I'm going to jail for 30 days. Like, I'll be in jail longer than I've known her. Like, what's going on here, bro? Yeah. And, so, hey,
stay away from Motel 6s if you've...
Dude, yeah. So I used to write her letters to the Motel 6, and I used to draw a burning Motel 6 sign on the cover of the letter.
So she stayed at the Motel 6
she stayed there until I got back, dude. She stayed there the entire time until I got out, and she was right there waiting for me. Had a nice hotel suite set up for me, everything I needed, man, and she just took care of me. We've been together ever since.
You got married before you left Vegas at that point?
No, we got married... I think like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
man, she's in the bad boys, man. She's like 2 weeks in, I'm in Vegas.
Her mom told her, get away. My mom she called my mom. I was like, get away from that dude. Like, I was a dick, but that's another story.
Well, when you're 20s, man, like, I don't have any Vegas story like that. The only thing I've ever really experienced in Vegas was I took my brother-in-law for his 21st birthday to Spearmint Rhino.
Yeah.
And because we're staying at the Trump Tower. It's like right behind it. Mm-hmm. I'm like on the phone with my wife, and I was like, oh, Spearmint Rhino's like right behind us. Like, oh, take Chris out and go have fun. I was like, okay. So we get over there. I'm like, man, like, I'm not a strip club guy. I really haven't been since like the first lap dance I ever got. Like, she just literally is like, first thing she does, walks up, turns around, puts her legs over my shoulders and backs up, and it's just like twerking in my face, like this close to my nose. And the only thing I can think about was like, is it awkward if she feels me like breathing on it? So the whole time, I'm just sitting there like,
try not to breathe on her.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I get there and like, oh, you know, what are you into? He's like, I like Asian girls. Like, I get the bartender and like, hey, like, is there like Asian girls? Like, so he's getting a lap dance. We're kind of at the bar. And he's getting a lap dance on this side of me, and I'm just like having a drink, looking around, because it's actually a really cool place. Like, you know, the naked women help, but it's also a pretty cool bar. And I noticed there's kind of like this maybe 50, 60-year-old dude sitting next to me, and he keeps kind of around me looking at my brother-in-law get this lap dance. I'm like, okay, like hot Asian chicks, naked, like right on this. Okay. Well, then he just turns and starts rubbing my shoulder, and he's like, man, that chick's got me so hot right now. I was like, dude, get the fuck off me, man. That's what I was just like. I threw brother-in-law another like $100. I was like, I'm gonna go fucking play craps somewhere. Yeah, find me later.
It's getting weird for me over here.
Yeah, like nah, like some dude's just over here rubbing my shoulders. Like, who knows? His wife's probably like.
I really
back
like
at the
what
hotel.
he's got going on.
Like, yeah, I was like, God damn, what? Like, there's a strip club etiquette.
Yeah, that's just life etiquette.
I don't know all of the etiquette, but I know that's in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's a.
You don't touch
forbidden.
the strippers, and you sure as shit don't touch the other people at the bar, right?
So true, man.
But yeah, that's about it for me with Vegas. I do like Vegas though. Have you gone back since?
I mean, I lived in Vegas. From that experience, we lived there for about 10 months. So once I got my truck back, we decided to just stay a little longer and find things to do while we were there. And we ended up staying there for like 10 months. And then that's where we actually conceived our first daughter, was in Vegas. So we left Vegas, moved back to Moreno Valley. And right when we got back, we found out that Jenny was pregnant with our first daughter.
Gotcha. And you're still, were you doing debt collection stuff out in Vegas?
No, I don't remember what was going on out there. I think I tried to do a call center. It was around election time or something like that. And there's call centers like asking people if they want to like vote which way I jumped in there. I remember I did it for like one day, and I was like, I walked in, I was, cause I knew how to crush phones from what I was doing before. So I was like doing that. And I was just like, what am I doing here? I remember I was on the phone. Somebody was talking. I hung up, I stood up, and I left in the middle of my shift, and I didn't pick up my check. I didn't nothing. I literally just stood up and left. I was like, this is stupid. Yeah. And so my wife was doing stuff out there, and and I had some money coming from the collections from residuals, and then we went back, and then I went straight back into collections. And what's crazy is the day we got back and I started collections was November 2nd of the next year of 2011. And from that moment, when I don't know if it was just because I found out that I had a daughter coming or what it was, some shit clicked with me, bro, and I was on fire. So I was really timid on the phones before. Like, I knew how to do my thing, but I wasn't like a closer. Right. I was somebody who generated calls, then sent them to a closer to close the deals. Yeah. And when I came back, they were like, look, man, we need a closer. Like, I got enough guys dialing out. I need a closer. And I was like, oh, man. Like, he's like, look, I've got a script. I typed it out for you. Do this. Just tape it right there on your desk and read it verbatim. Take your time. You don't even have to sound like you know what you're talking about. No. Go like this and read it. No. And so I did that. The very first call I did, I closed $1,500, and which is a third of it goes to me. So I made $500 on that deal. And all I did was look at the words and read them verbatim. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, that's what I've been missing this whole time. Yeah. And then it was like, everything closed after that. Yeah. Everything. I was on effing fire to the point of like owning my own collection company less than another year later, putting in just so much work, and I own my own. And at that point in time, like I went from that first $3,000, that I made that I was excited about to taking home almost $50K a month. Yeah. Like a huge difference. And it was consecutive for, I would say, 8 years solid. Yeah, we just crushed it. And then I got with a partner. It took me from like a $2 million a year business to $8 million a year. And we just kept going and going and going and going. And then I got like the ego involved. Wolf of Wall Street shit, man. It was insane. I had this house in Temecula that was in the wineries. I think I was on 5 acres. I had a 360 driveway around my whole house, and it was an estate. It wasn't a house. It was an estate. I had a gate that you had to go and then go up this long, like quarter-mile driveway to get to the top. And up there, I had like a 6-car garage, a pool hall up in the top, freaking RV parking. Like I'm spitting on myself. And then I had like 150 trees that I had manicured daily by this landscaper, and Bentley, a Cadillac, couple Escalades. Brand new Silverado, some other shit. I don't even remember.
Probably like some wild shit, like gold-plated AK.
Dude, I had a huge safe full of guns, and it was just out of this world. And it's just like this ego just super kicked in, right? Because I started getting this real money that I wasn't ready for, at least not
How old were you at this point?
Like 28. Yeah, 28, 29.
Making what, a couple mil a year? And
we were crushing. Yeah. I don't even remember. It was just because the way we did our taxes was like we made it look like we had nothing.
You don't make any money. Right?
Yeah. Well, what's dope is in the industry, and actually I think this goes for any industry. So there's some secret sauce for you guys who are all watching. You're allowed a tax break of, I think it's $150,000 a year for intellectual property. So between my partner and I, and that's tax free. So you can take $150,000 for your personal intellectual property of your business and pay that to yourself tax-free. So we did. So $300,000 was designated to my partner and myself for our intellectual property that we were untaxed for. And then on top of our salaries and or not, our commissions.
Was it the trick like the company's buying the cars, right?
No, dude. And then what was dope is because we were in collections, the type of game we played, the Wolf of Wall Street, the boiler room style, you are always on like someone's radar. You're always playing in the black, so there's always someone trying to crush you and take you out and sue you. And there's this game you play, this cat and mouse with like the CFPB, and like just debtors in general. They're attorneys. They're like, hey, they're sending you cease and desist letters, or we're going to sue you because you said something wrong, that you didn't follow the rules, the Rosenthal Act, and all this other shit. And so what we did to get out of that, to not get sued so much and all that stuff, was we changed our corporations every 3 years. So you're allowed to take a loss as a company for 3 years consecutive. Say like I lost 3 years in a row before IRS is like, dude, what the fuck's really going on? 3 years and you guys lost every time. So you're allowed a 3-year leniency. And so we would change the corporations in less than those 3 years every single time. So we didn't pay any taxes for all those years that we did that. Secret sauce, guys. But that's only if you play that type of game. If you're trying to play a game where like it's longevity, you're trying to open a Google or something like that's going to be forever, you're not going to play like that. But the cat and mouse game that we played had to be played like that. And that's just what we learned. We watched other people get raided. We watched other people get shut down. We watched people get their bank accounts wiped out. All these other things, merchants get taken from them, all kinds of stuff. There was always something. Somebody you hear, someone's getting cracked over here. We changed offices all the time. We changed business names, LLCs, DBAs, just nonstop. And then we had online, we had what's called a reputation defender. So they would write a bunch of articles, have a bunch of websites, blogs, all this stuff about your business name, and it's all positive stuff. So when people go to blast you on the internet, that's like so far like get page 2 on Google, so they wouldn't even see that because there's so much content that's being posted about your specific organization. And then not only that, we would rent those suites. Like I was talking about earlier.
The virtual suites.
So we'd rent virtual suites. So that was our mailing address. So you never, like if you looked us up, oh yeah, it's a real building, and then you call and there's a receptionist answers, yes, they have a suite number over here. Like, so that was like our buffer between our actual location where we had a lease for years at a time where we couldn't give up that spot, and then that was our buffer between us and the consumers.
So while you're doing all this too, are you like out at fucking One Oak at bottle service? And
I didn't go that far, man. It just it was like my local area, like I would just ball out at the whatever bars or like just I don't know, dude. It just was all bad. Yeah, it was really bad.
So what got you out of that? So you're
my wife,
28, making all this money, right? Ego, I can see that just probably. And I mean, other than like you just said, your wife, the people around you probably aren't checking your ego very much, right?
Not at all. Well, because they were all yes men. I was paying them all, so they're not going to challenge me. They're not gonna be like, yo, you're fucking up, bro. What are you doing? Like my partner did. He was like, dude, what the fuck? Stop it. And I was so gone that there was no stopping it. I had created this monster that it needed to be destroyed. Like it had to. And that's what happened, man. I took it too far. And me and my wife, we had a conversation, and she was like, we need to leave. We can't be here anymore. Like, I don't want to live here anymore. Like, fuck this business. I don't care how much money you're making. Like, look what it's doing to us. The money's not making our lives better. It's making us worse. All it did was magnify who I was, which was a piece of shit, apparently. You know what I mean?
Were you still doing like drug stuff?
Yeah. So it had gotten so bad. I was overdosing. People were like, it was just all bad. And there was an intervention at my house. Like my personal trainer had been there, my wife, family, like they were like, you need to fucking stop. Like, and I had just done like 7 grams of coke, like right before the intervention.
So I
was like all out of my mind, like a fucking idiot. And then we moved to Idaho, and unfortunately I took me with me to Idaho, you know what I mean? And so I was still doing the same shit up there. My wife kicked me out of the house. So I had got my own apartment by myself. And I just couldn't stop. I opened a collection office up there because I knew I just knew it inside and out. And, mind you, I skipped the part where when we left California to go to Idaho, I couldn't run the business anymore, obviously. And we had 5 offices over 3 states. We had 120 employees. It was booming. And
Shit, you probably called me. So I've been in my young 20s here. You probably calling me.
we called everybody because you gotta understand,
I was on
we
the
were
losing
working
side of those
thousands
calls.
of accounts every single day, thousands of accounts, like tens of thousands, because there were so many people. And I remember going to him and I was like, here, I put a number on the table, like, look, this is what it's going to take to buy me out.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, but I can't give you that at once. So we worked out a commission deal where it was paid out over a year's time.
Yeah.
So I had gotten a salary for a year for doing absolutely nothing. I just kind of remotely checked in here and there, but I kind of stayed out of the way.
Yeah.
And with that is when I started my own collection company, so I could start making cash, like big cash again. And then I think the work ethic in Idaho was just a little bit different.
Right.
They don't work like people in Cali. They're not as hungry.
Yeah.
So finding those sharks,
slower speed.
yeah, finding those sharks was a little more challenging. And then there was just a point where I was just like, man, do I really want to do this anymore? Is this really what I want to do forever? Is this piece of shit fucking collection thing?
Yeah.
Like I'm tired of this. Like I'm just tired of it from before. I was over it, which is why I didn't show any interest and just left the office and fucked off all day. And so I was still doing drugs during all this time too. And then I had been kicked out, living on my own. And my wife was pregnant with our third daughter at this time, and I'm still fucking off. And it was December 31st of 2018. It was New Year's Eve, obviously, and I just got a bunch of shit, and I was like, this is it. Like, I remember texting my mom. I was like, I'm not a good man. I'm not a good father. I'm not a good husband. I'm not a good person. I can't fucking get a hold of this, so I'm done. I'm spiritually done. I'm mentally drained. I have nothing left to give. I gotta go. And she didn't even text me back. And oh no, she did text me back. She goes, hey, let's talk about it tomorrow. And I was like, I didn't even respond to that shit. But so I went super like over the top, and I just tried to make it happen. And I remember laying in my bed, and I closed my eyes, and I could feel my heart just like
trying to overdose,
escape my chest. Yeah, like it was going big time, and I just closed my eyes, and I was with the intention of not opening them again. You know. And the next morning, I did wake up. Obviously, I woke up and I was just like, it's over. It's done. Like, I can't do this anymore. Whatever the fuck it is. What I did was I locked myself in my room, and I didn't even have anybody else there, but I locked myself in my bedroom, and I stayed there for like the next 3 days up until the day my daughter was born, which was January 3rd. So from the 31st up until the 3rd, I just stayed in that room, and I just stayed there, and I just didn't answer my phone, didn't talk to nobody, and I just was like, I need to stop. Like, I have to grab a hold of this shit. And then my daughter was born, you know, by the grace of God. My wife let me be there for that, even though she shouldn't have. And she let me be there for that. And I think that moment, I just made a promise to her, my daughter, that she would never see me the way my other two daughters saw me. Right. And I've not broken that promise. I've stayed sober. She's now going to be 5, you know, she's this next year. And so I'm almost 5 years sober. And then
are you doing that just on your own? Are you in programs?
No, I just literally that day was it. From 15 plus years of drug addiction and alcohol abuse, just stopped. It was just done. I never again am I touching this shit. And there's ways that I got to that point, like to be able to just do it on my own, but that's for a whole nother conversation. But then so when my year time went out and I lost my Bentley, lost one of my Escalades. I was down to, and I lost my Silverado. I was down to one Escalade.
Sold. I'm assuming you sold the estate, right?
Yeah. When we left California, and so I had 2 cars left, and it was a 66 Coupe de Ville that I completely restored. It was a promise I made to myself when I was a kid that when I got enough money and got older, that I would build a show car. So I built this beautiful Cadillac DeVille. And then I had that and one of my Escalades left. And so I sold the DeVille, which left me with just my Escalade. And that DeVille is the money I got from that is what I used to buy somebody's screen printing business. Gotcha. I was like, you know, what do I want to do now? And I was like, man, I remember I like screen printing. I remember like I used to love doing it. Instead of me printing my own brand and hawking that off, let me try to print other people's stuff now so I can actually make a business out of it. So I don't have to try to eat everything I kill every day when I'm, you know, growing my own brand. And so I found somebody, they wanted a lot of money, and I was like, I used my skills as a closer for the last decade of my life.
You pulled out the piece of paper and
And I
started reading
got
the words.
pennies on the dollar for his shit, dude.
Yeah.
It was almost embarrassing. It was almost like I went in there and held a gun to his fucking face and said, "Give me all you got." And so I got everything for super cheap, bro. Like, I think I spent like $5K, and I got someone's whole business. And so, which included all the equipment, the inks. They had over 1,000 shirts and stuff. They had racks and dryer, dark room, the whole real deal. Like, it was an 8-color, 8-station. Let's spit again. It was an 8-color, 8-station press. It looked like an Anatol. That's what I thought it was, because the dryer was an Anatol and the press was the exact same color, but it was like called a Continental or something like that. I never even heard of it. Anyway, so I used that press for the first year or so of that business, and it got to the point of where I was like standing at this press like 18 hours a day, and I was like, dude, I need to do something. Like, we got to figure something else out. And so that's when I found out about auto presses, and then so I found out about Ryan and all that stuff, and we flew out to Long Beach for the convention. There was one where they had like Sublime playing and all that stuff. And what was that dude with the plastic face called? Mark McGrath. He was there.
Sugar Ray.
Yeah, so they were performing.
Yeah.
And
or Sugar Gay, some 16, no, some.
I don't know. That's not even a human. Whatever that thing is on his face is not a face.
Well, yeah, I say that because there's like a very famous video of him like coming out of like a club or a restaurant or something, and like some kid calls him Sugar Gay. He's like about to like beat the shit out of some 50-year-old kid until he realizes that everybody's got cell phone cameras. You know.
Well, I mean, I could see why he said it, but So yeah, that's when I first got introduced to rock presses, right?
Gotcha.
The green presses, and then I went back to the drawing board. We found out they were like way too much money, and I was like, let me figure out something else. So we found one. Somebody sold one privately, and so I flew out to San Francisco from Coeur d'Alene, and I took a duffel bag with tools. I didn't know what I was going to need. I didn't know anything about these presses. I seen it for a few minutes at a trade show, you know? And I had this duffel bag. I just packed any tools in there, and that's all I flew with. I didn't even take clothes. I literally just took a duffel bag, and I flew to this dude's shop, pulled up with a 26-foot U-Haul or Penske truck or whatever, and went to the back of the shop, and he's like showing me the stuff, and he's like, yo, where's your rock tech? And I was like, what the fuck is a rock tech? He's like, you're a technician to come take it apart. And I was like, I don't have a technician. I didn't even know that was a thing. He was like, so how are you going to do it? And I was like, my tools. You know? And he's like,
oh no, there's bolts. I'm gonna undo.
He's like, do you know how to do it? And I was like, no, but I mean, that looks like that holds on there. That holds on there. I'll take this shit apart and see what happens. And so I did that. I put it in the back of the truck, and then I drove straight to Idaho, and then rebuilt it in my shop the next day. So within 24 hours, I was full trip and had the press built in my shop.
Nice.
I built it myself back in my shop. I just reverse engineered everything I did. And worked perfectly. And then Ryan had got wind of that. And so that's where our relationship kind of started building, because he's like, how did you do that without a rock tech? Everybody asked that. And I was like, dude, it's not rocket science. There's bolts here, there's bolts there. Just fucking put them together, an airline, you know, clips and wires. Like, it's self-explanatory. So I just did that, and that's where we initially started our friendship.
Nice. So how long did you do that in Idaho?
I think like 2 years. We did 2 years on the auto, so probably about 3 years total with the whole Ink Lab project.
Nice.
And then this is where it gets weird. I'm guessing this is what you want to hear.
No, I mean, the whole thing's crazy to me, man. Okay, like you're like some West Coast Wolf of Wall Street in a Bentley. By the way, like during that time, what's the do you remember what's the craziest thing you bought? So you just look back now, and you're just like, that was so dumb. Or dumb? Not even dumb. Like, did you go fucking drop like 50 grand on a Rolex just because you felt like
I wanted to. There was a lot of times where I wanted to buy all those like things like that, and I mean, I could have, but we were just like consumers, so we were just like, dude, it was more about houses for us, houses and cars. Like, we had big houses, huge houses, like back to back, just these like. Because my wife and I both come from very, very modest, humble beginnings. So it's like, if I'm able to do it, I'm going to do it. Like you said,
Yeah.
you only live once kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not taking none of this shit to the grave with me. So let's live it up.
Yeah.
Not being like responsible and like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
investing
Yeah.
and making our money make money. We were just spending the money that I was making.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I had over 100 pairs of shoes. I had a bedroom dedicated to my shoes and like hats. I was told you I was a big hat guy. So I had room dedicated to all like my clothes. My wife, same thing, had all the cool stuff, and kids had everything they needed. Cars had everything. I mean, so I bought that DeVille I was telling you about. I bought it it was a birthday gift to myself. And I think I spent like $6,000 on it. And then I probably spent updating everything another 70, 80,000.
Yeah.
And it was like every week I was spending 2 to 3 G's, like back to back. Every week, the mechanic and this guy and the wraps and the rims and the grills and the interior.
Yeah.
And it was boom, boom. It just went from place to place to place to place to place until this thing was like.
Yeah. Was it the place that was like Exhibit doing all the work on
No,
it?
it wasn't. It wasn't like that. I found, I had friends, that had like their own things. It's just like screen print shops. You got more popular ones, and you just got your regular ones. So I got it done, man, and that was a really expensive thing. And I think on my Bentley, they wanted me to. I put down like $30,000. I think it was my down payment
On the Bentley?
Yeah.
Was it like a GT?
Yeah, it was a
two-door.
GT. Yeah, it was a GTC actually, which is a convertible.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
and the crazy thing about that, right? So I go to the dealership. I'm like, yo, I want the hard top because I love how it slants back.
Yeah.
The ass end goes down like that. That was my favorite thing because my buddy Wayne, the guy I was telling you got me in the collections that died, he would let me borrow his Bentley, like because he was the big dog and I worked for him for a while, so he would always have one. And I'm like, hey, let me take it for the weekend. He'd be like, cool, threw me the keys, and I would just have his Bentley, and then it was just for inspiration. He had like Ferrari, Lamborghinis, he had an airplane, and this is all off a collection. He was just a regular dude like you and me, and he just fucking figured it out, and all of a sudden he just had everything, and he was helping people, like putting people like myself on and like teaching me how to make money and how to be a millionaire.
Right.
And so the story behind that is I wanted that convertible, or not the convertible, but the hard top. I just love how I like those little windows in the back. Like it had like the whole window thing opened up, so it was like the little windows, the little triangles in the back would go down, and then my big window would come down, and it just looked sick. Like that shit was sick. And so when I went to the dealership, I took my daughter and my wife with me, and my daughter's like, "Oh, I want the convertible," and I was like, "Man, like,
Damn it, you had to go say that, right?
yeah, come on, I want the damn convertible. Like I like that hard top because the convertible was like more like a girly one, And she convinced me to do it, so we got the damn convertible.
Couldn't talk yourself into just buying one of each, huh?
Not that day. And so I wasn't gonna put $60,000 down, but got the convertible, and then her and I drove off the lot, and we hit the freeway because it was right there. Second we hit the freeway, she's like, I don't like this, put that shit on. And I was like, bro, like I didn't want this motherfucker from the start, you know what I mean? And then so I got a Bentley, but it was not like my dream Bentley. It was, my daughter's, whatever she picked.
Yeah, kid, man.
But nonetheless, it was still a really cool car, and I enjoyed it, and it was fast, and like it made me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope. So screen printing in Idaho, and then like crazy shit just happens, right?
Okay, so with that, we had a daycare that was next door to us, shared a wall with us, with our company. And we printed all their stuff. They had 5 locations, and we printed all their stuff, and their bill every month was somewhere around like $1,000 in merch that they would get. So I was like, hey, how about we do this? My 2 youngest, let me put them in the daycare so we can be close to them next door. Yep. We know they're being taught. They're with other kids. They're not just with grandma all day at the house. Like they're interacting with people, and so let's do that. So we put our kids over there, and that was the trade-off. We'll print all your stuff.
Right.
You watch my kids. It was all good. It was all good until it wasn't. Like one day, I don't remember what the initial kickoff was, but our kids were coming to us saying that teacher was mean. This was before my daughter can actually talk. Yeah. And teacher was mean, and like these things, and we're like, oh, just thinking it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Your teacher told you no when you didn't want something or something. And then over time, we had talked to the daycare about it. They're like, what? You're tripping? No way. Yeah. And then one time our daughter was like, yeah, they didn't feed us because they didn't have groceries or something. And they're supposed to have everything they need, like on a regular schedule, and couldn't find out they didn't have groceries. Like they were being withheld for some reason. And then another situation happened where one of the kids was just in the parking lot and he pissed his pants because he was scared because they fucking left him outside. There was like a little play area outside that they would walk the kids across, and it was gated and they could play there. Well, somebody left an entire kid outside and never thought to check when they got in that all my kids here.
Yeah, that's not. My wife runs a daycare, so like just thinking about that stuff, she's like, "What the fuck are these people doing?"
So there was that one situation, and then one night my wife's giving my daughter a bath, and then my other daughter comes up to me and she's like, "Yeah, this specific teacher had punched a Penelope in the head, like right on the head." And I was like, "Where?" She's like, "Right here." And I was like, "Let me go see." And I walk in the bathroom. She's in the bath. I move her hair to the side, and there's a bruise. And I was like, what the fuck? So
were you about to fucking lose it?
All these things they've been telling us were actually like for real happening, but you just kind of don't always believe kids because you think it's just whatever. And it wasn't that we weren't trying to listen to our kids; it just wasn't like that obvious. Like when we go there, it looked like a great daycare, Right. And then, so then we like really start getting into it, and then I don't remember what something else had happened, and to the point of where I was like, oh no, this is what happened. So we were like, we need to file criminal charges. Like, we got to do the right thing, kind of thing. So we go to the police station. They're like, okay, file the police thing, blah blah. And then we get a call, or we follow up on the case, and the detective's like, oh, it's gonna take up to like 18 months and we had pulled our kids out of there. Obviously, we had beef with them at this point, like fuck you guys, all that stuff. And he's like, it's gonna take up to 18 months to close this case. So I won't have any. We'll let you know when we got it closed. And I was like, 18 months. I was like, there's God knows how many kids in this building, that building, that building, that building, being food withheld from them, being hit, People were like reporting their kids being stabbed with scissors.
So like, were there other parents reporting anything?
Everybody was, right? And come to find out, they were just denying all the cases. They were like, oh, case closed, case closed, case closed, case closed. And I was like, and then I started digging in. I'm really digging in on these people. And I find out that it's just a huge, like, just money scheme for them. They're just taking parents that get the government checks. So it's like they don't, they're just collecting. And what they were doing was putting too many kids per teacher. Yeah. They were doing all kinds of stuff. They were getting tipped off by the state when someone was coming to do an inspection. Then they would balance it back out, stock the refrigerator, put everything where cords are supposed to be and all this other stuff. They were doing getting this. So when the person came in, it was all good. Oh, there's nothing wrong here. So they had no like bad reviews or whatever you call it. Yeah. No strikes against them. And then I go online and I tell my story online. I just go on my Instagram and I just say what happened with us. And overnight it got like 8,000 views, and the whole entire community had heard about it. And my fucking inbox was lit up by parents with stories that we went to the police department, they denied our case, over and over. And then I was like, I know people at the news station, because I did some other stuff with Ryan Moore with the mask bullshit, and I sold a bunch of masks through the news. But I don't believe in masks, by the way. The second the scam was found out about, I took them off my website. I didn't sell another mask. This was at first when everyone didn't know what the F was going on.
No worries,
all businesses were shut down. I just got in on the All Made thing. So anyways, outside of that, so got the news involved. They came out and did a report. It got even bigger. And then to the point of where the police were like, you need to shut the fuck up, because we have an investigation. You're ruining it for us and all this other stuff. And I was like, you ain't doing shit. You told me it's going to take 18 months. I'm going to hold court myself here in the street. Right. You step aside since you can't do shit. And then we started getting death threats through emails, through like these spam emails, and like all like literally people fucking with us left and right. And I'm like, over a daycare? What is this, dude? Why are the police protecting these people? What's going on here? So I'm digging. I'm getting resources. We're being followed. Like, there's all kinds of shit going on. I'm having in Idaho, it's open carry. So I had my AK on my passenger seat all the times. I had my 45 on my hip at all times. And I'm just like, I have to live like this. And then even it got so ugly to the point of where Ryan Moore sent me a bulletproof vest. He's like, look, man, I see what's going on out there. It was public, everything. This was getting really big. I know I'm not explaining everything, but this was like a huge deal in the area. And all my witnesses, they were getting their phones scrambled. They had somebody that knew how to scramble phones. My phone got scrambled. I had an iPhone and they scrambled it. I didn't know you can hack an iPhone.
What do you mean by scramble?
Like all my shit was messed up. The microphone didn't work anymore. Like I couldn't access my phone. I couldn't call it. If I tried to call out, nothing would happen. Like, and I saw the guy pull up in front of my shop and do it. I watched him pull up, open a laptop, and I'm on my phone, and it just starts spazzing out, and then I couldn't use it anymore, and then he drives off. And the same thing consecutively happened to all my like key witnesses, people that were managers of the facilities, people that were workers there that were like, "Hey, I want to testify because it was really bad," and we were putting together a class action lawsuit. And so, what was like the catalyst? I had found out that the brother of one of the owners was running the drug task force in the police station. So they were trying to get me off the street because I would not shut up. No matter how many times they told me, I kept yelling it to the fucking, hey, the flood is coming. I was acting like Noah, like, yo, pay attention. There's shit going on here you guys need to know about. And they fucking hated it, man. And so what happened? So one day we're at the shop. My wife took off to go handle something, so she left. I had just got some new employees that I was training how to, because it was like starting to scale really big, and I was like, "Yeah, I need you guys to clean screens, organize the shop, do all this stuff while I'm printing." And they're in the back cleaning screens. I was standing at my manual press, and I see my wife pull up in front of the shop, and she calls me. She goes, "Hey, we need to talk." And I was like, "All right, I'll be right out there." So I jump in the truck with her, and we're sitting directly in front of the double doors in front of our shop. You know, like let's say the Boyd's, like right in front of the front door, basically. But it was raining that day. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat with her, and we see this guy with a hoodie come on from the left side.
Right.
And he's looking in our windows like this. And we're both looking at him like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Because we were talking about, so we're sitting in the truck talking about the main detective, all this. Yeah. She had a recording of him telling her that he's going to get me arrested for, not menace to society. What is that other shit called?
Like disturbing the peace or something?
Something to that effect. Yeah. Anyways, like that I was causing a huge commotion and they were going to arrest me. Right. Like that was, if I didn't shut the fuck up right then, like this was like discreetly being said, not like off the record, but then she was recording them and they didn't know it. So we have all kinds of shit, bro. And so she's sitting there telling me about this conversation she had with homeboy playing the recording, and that dude walks up. And mind you, these are all events that are happening non-fucking stop. Like it's just like same thing with the cat and mouse thing. Like we just swat like the thing where you hit the mole and the whack-a-mole and another one pops up. We're like, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And then just keep coming from every angle, right? And we got guns all over us and this and that. Like it was just getting like, this is my new life.
Yeah, you're walking around with a fucking bulletproof vest on.
Dude, every day.
50 Cent.
I even met with one of the police officers that I knew in private, and I was wearing a bulletproof vest, and he's like, bro, is it that bad? And I was like, how do you not see this, motherfucker? Like, you're in the mix of all this shit.
Right.
Your people are doing this to me. Don't tell me you don't know what the fuck's going on, dude.
Right.
And he's just playing stupid. And so this guy's looking through the window, and then my wife opens the door, and she goes, "Can I help you?" And he looks over, and he's like, "Oh, damn!" He startled him, and he's like, "Is this a tattoo shop?" And then both of us are like, "Bitch, you know that shit ain't no tattoo shop. Right. Everybody knows who we are. Get out of here." Right. And then he goes like, he's trying to pull something out of his hoodie, like, and his hand was stuck, so whatever he had was bigger than his hand with it.
Yeah.
And so I fucking jump out the truck, and my wife jumps out the truck, and we start to chase him down. I believe that's what happened. And then he takes off, but he takes off in a direction that where the fuck are you going? There's nothing over there. He had gone, and there was a car that was waiting over there. Yeah. He was coming into that shop to smoke me or whoever the fuck was the first one that he ran into.
Yeah.
And he had a getaway car parked on the side way the fuck over there was nothing at. And he got in that damn car and he took off driving. And I was like, chase him. And then so my wife jumped in her Suburban and just chased this motherfucker, dude. So down the main street, he's flying, bro. And she's recording it while she's driving. This dude's blowing through lights. And then this was like early in the morning too, like 8:30, 9 a.m., something like that. And then they come up to a school zone. And so my wife backs off. She just lets him off, and he just fucking blasts through the school zone. and gets away. He had some Washington plates. And then she comes back. She's like, yeah, she showed me the video, got away. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the police station. I'm going to talk to this fucking detective and tell him I'm done. Like, I can't live like this anymore. This is fucking stupid. Nobody's doing shit about it. Nobody's going to do shit about it.
Right.
I'm going to keep screaming it until I'm gone. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So
at least hope from this. I would assume, obviously, like, you're mad that it happened to your kid, but I'm assuming what you were worried about was like the other kids. Like, they're doing
still
shit.
My daughters were fine.
Yeah.
I took them out. So I took them out in the woods on this really nice trail in Coeur d'Alene, and we just sat by the water, the lake, and like I taught her how to forgive. You know what I mean? Like, just sit there and forgive the people that did these things to you, because it wasn't your fault.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it now. All you can do is forgive, so that you don't have to hold on to that energy forever, you know?
Right.
And so that was like, we blessed that situation in that regard, just so I can teach her how to you're still good. Everything's good. They didn't do anything too bad for the most part that I know about.
Yeah.
Let's just forgive, dude. And so we did that. And then so we went to this detective. I pulled up on him. He tried shaking my hand. I brushed his bitch ass off, and I was just like, let's just go in the office. He took me in a little interrogation room, trying to make it all official.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, dude. And I looked him in his face. I was like, I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done with this fucking game you're playing. I was like, you guys can have your little child abuse ring. I don't know why it's so important to you, but I'm done. And he was like, good. And that's the last thing he said to me. And I just stood up, turned around and walked away. My wife was in the parking lot in her truck, and I looked at her and I was like, we got to go. Like, we're not safe here anymore. Like, he confirmed everything by his response. Right. It wasn't like, you know what, man, you're tripping. Like, he was like, good, shut the fuck up. Like, let me get back to what I got to do. And I called somebody that I knew in the screen printing industry, I don't want to call him a competitor, because I don't look at anybody's competition like that, especially in that industry, but someone else that had a screen print shop local to mine that was a rock shop. And I was like, look, same thing again. Here's a number. Have this on my desk in the next 2 hours, and everything I have is yours. And he showed up within 2 hours with that number that I asked, cash in hand. And he brought his own team of movers, and we stripped the press apart. We stripped my everything, like my entire shop. From the moment I left that detective's office to 4 hours later, my shop was completely empty and gone. Everything. I was gone. Everything I had worked for was gone. I had a fat stack of cash in my hands, but everything was gone. Right. And I was like, we got to go. So we left. We went to our house. She had a Suburban. I had my Escalade. Packed it as much important stuff as she could in there. Packed the same thing with my truck, as much as we could, till full to the brim. Everything else had to stay, and we left that day. We left everything: our couch, our furniture, my book collection, like anything that wasn't like immediately needed. And we drove to Nebraska. We had family in Nebraska. That's why I have a 402 number, by the way, because I cut my old phone off, and then when I got a new phone, I was in Nebraska. I needed a fucking phone, so I got a 402 number just because I didn't want to be tied to the Coeur d'Alene area. And so I had this burner phone, and the only person I gave my number to was Ryan, the only person. And that's because I still had his vest, so I wanted to return it to him. You know, now that I didn't feel like I was in danger anymore, so I gave him the number. It was like when you break up with somebody and you're like, oh, I left my CDs in your car. You know? Kept in touch with him, and then he's like, so what are you gonna do now, man? I was like, dude, I don't know, dude. I don't even want to think about anything. I'm so like overstimulated by this whole situation, like being like on the offense and defense back and forth. It was just like tit for tat game we were playing. And it was going on for months, so I gave you the condensed version of it. But he was like, look, I got an opportunity for you if you want it, man. Just give me a call when you're ready. A couple months went by. He hits me up again. He goes, what are you doing now? And I was like, well, I'm contracting right now. I'm brokering accounts. So I found a bunch of screen print shops in the area. I had my own clients, boom, 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 passing deals around. But that wasn't sustainable for me either, right? And so I just was like, what do you got, dude? What are we doing? He was like, well, I got a job where you can live wherever you want, and as long as you're near an airport, we'll fly you to wherever the job is, and this is what we pay per day, and da-da-da. And I was like, fuck, well, I'm not doing anything but this broker shit right now, and that's I'm not trying to do this forever.
Right.
And I was like, all right, let's see what you got. So I went to Claremont, Florida. We moved. We actually left from Nebraska. We were in Omaha. We left Omaha, and then we moved to Pensacola.
Yeah.
Right on the white sand beach.
Of course you will. You don't have to ask. Like, of course you're in Omaha because there's actually nothing else. I don't know if you're familiar with Nebraska.
No, not really.
There's nothing else in Nebraska, man.
Yeah. Okay. So we were in Omaha.
Omaha's not terrible.
Yeah, the roads.
Coming from like
the roads,
LA
though,
and
it's
shit,
like, dude, like I can't. They don't maintain their roads at all. So it's like you're off-roading at all times.
Oh, yeah.
It was my suspension got jacked.
So yeah. So you moved to Florida. Before that, though, one thing I do want to ask, and like I told you, my audience, vets, you know, and those guys, and they're.
I was surrounded by vets, and during all this time, all the support from the community, all the dudes that were against child abuse, all the Army dudes, like all the military guys were like, they were. It was like I had this like army literally around me at all times.
Yeah, a lot of those special forces guys like Idaho as well. But like, so you're in your, you know, your wife's car, some dude comes up, obviously is trying to like pull out some sort of pull out piece on you. You chase him down. You're armed to the teeth. Was there like, did it ever cross your mind like I might have to smoke this dude?
I wanted to. I wanted a reason so I can fucking show these other motherfuckers that I wasn't kidding.
Right.
Like, give me a reason to smoke your bitch ass so that I can set the example. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not playing over here. I'm not just having those guns on me for no reason. Like, if you're gonna send your goons, they're gonna get taken out. But then there was this, like, do I keep doing that? I have to keep doing that. What until what point? Because they're okay. Art of War.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Art of War. I was reading this book heavily during this time, and one of the things that I read, literally moments before, like days before I fucking knew I had to go, was it was telling you if the enemy has more resources than you and is much stronger than you, know when to fucking fold and get out of there. Like, and it all hit me all at once. Like, they're way stronger now that I know that they got the entire police force, that are all these Freemason motherfuckers backing them up and all this stuff. Okay, it's a brotherhood. I understand. You guys are protecting each other. This little whatever's going on here, people are getting paid out of left and right because they got so many locations and they got houses and kids through college and they're making hand over fist cash. You're trying to protect that nest egg. I get it now. You know what I mean? So there was nothing. We tried going to the FBI. We tried going to the Coeur d'Alene. We tried going to the sheriffs. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody. And so that's when I knew the enemy was much more resourceful than I was.
Yeah, that shit's only going to escalate too. And I mean, one guy, one time, you took care of that. They're just going to keep coming. You're one guy, right? And escalate, and it's not.
How many situations am I going to win before I don't?
Yeah, eventually it runs out, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you're going to be able to
be vigilant everywhere I go. Like, I don't want to live like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to live knowing that I can't make a left turn anywhere because I might get stuck at a light and smoked. I have to make right turns everywhere I go or something. Like, I don't want to do all of that stuff, dude. I didn't want to live like that. And I was like,
that's how they got Tupac.
He's gone.
Speaking of Vegas, every time I'm at the corner, right there.
I used to pass by that spot all the time. It was
Tupac.
What was the name of the streets?
It's it
starts with a K.
Oh shit! I just know it's Las Vegas Boulevard.
Cobalt or something.
Could be, yeah. But yeah, it was after a Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you get the hell out of town, right? You decide like enough of this shit. Layover in Nebraska, which I'm sure was thrilling for everybody.
Oh man, I was dying out there. I was so bored.
Then you moved to what? The Panhandle, Florida?
Yeah. So, no, not the Panhandle, the other part. So South Alabama, I guess you could say. Oh no, it is Panhandle.
That's Panhandle.
My bad. I don't know what the shit's called. I was thinking the bottom part.
Yeah.
So, very top left part. So that's what that's called. Yes.
Kind of near like Destin and all that stuff, or
I don't know. We were just Pensacola. That's all.
Pensacola. Okay.
But yeah, so there was like an Air Force base there, or like a military base. Anyway, so we were right next to the beach within like 5 minutes, right? Driving back and forth to Claremont, which is Orlando, basically, from Pensacola on like Monday morning, and then driving back home Friday night. So it was a 6-hour drive there, 6-hour drive home, and I was doing this every week, and I was like, this shit's kind of killing me.
Right.
I was like, let's just move to Claremont. So we left Pensacola so I can actually see my family every day, you know, and then moved to Claremont and stayed there for about a year and a half. And I worked at the rock warehouse. I traveled and all that other stuff, but I was home way more than I am now. And that's when I started just building what I'm doing now, just giving value to the community and the industry. And taking things that I learned from high level performers and just passing it on to the masses, because these guys like to keep shit to themselves. And I'm like, look, stop that. Like, help people get better, you know?
Yeah. I think that's, not to get too deep into like screen printing stuff, but in the industry, not that I've been in it that long, but that seems to kind of be like the new wave of how the community is, right? Like, it's a lot less of this, like, from what I see, like old school kind of shops are, very like just like turn and burn, productive, cutthroat pricing. Whereas it seems now there's like a new wave of, even like, I'm sure you've been in huge shops turning out millions of dollars in sales, probably still have the mentality you have, right? It's not a competition, it's a community.
No, I actually disagree.
No? Okay.
So all the high-end shops don't give a shit to help anybody.
Okay.
Because they're so busy with what they're doing. There's not enough time for content. And let me show you this and that. They don't give a shit. They want sales. They're monsters. Yeah. So they're not worried. They're not even involved in the community most of the time. Like the big ones. It's more of like the smaller ones.
Right. Like and maybe that's what I'm seeing, because you're like the big shops you're talking about, they're not on social media, right? They're not doing that. So I don't necessarily see that. I don't have access to that stuff. The stuff I have access to are what I would think is big, but it's probably not shit in the industry.
Well, like, name somebody that you are inspired by.
You talk about, like, you did the interview with like 12 Ounce Collective. They seem pretty cool. You got like the like Shirt Kong and those guys. They seem to be active in the community, but maybe they are big enough to be turning out those kind of sales and have those kind of shops and doing that kind of product, but also not so big that they can still do.
Yeah, they have
content.
time to play in the community.
Gotcha.
The other ones are like just animals. Like, they're just on some other shit that you'll never even see.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Like,
there's people that have like huge H&M contracts and stuff like that, where they're like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, they're just
like, printing out Nike shit.
But even like, let's say like 12 Ounce, like they're more, I'd rather produce really high quality and interesting shit than quantity.
Right.
And their level of quality control is unmatched to anybody. There's nothing that leaves that place that isn't completely flawless. And if it has what you and I would call flawless, if we could see nothing, Alan will find something, and he'll be like, this will not pass. There's tens of thousands of dollars of beautiful misprints, whatever, perfect prints, sitting in a warehouse. They have 3 warehouses in a row, sitting in this second warehouse that they're just going to burn because they're under NDA and stuff like that, so they can't even give it out to their friends. Like, I was like, can I just like sneak he's like, I can't. And something I really want to touch on, and this can go for character for anybody. This isn't just in the screen printing world, but Josh Merrill, the owner of Liquid Graphics.
Okay.
I'm sitting at his desk with him one day, and he prints for every big brand, like all our favorite brands. Like, he's the guy. Right. And so I'm like, yo, can I get a couple of this and that are like these exclusive things? And he goes, I built an entire career on doing business honestly and not doing that, so I'm not going to start now. And I was like, I really, really respect that you said that. Yeah. Like, that really showed who you are as a person. Even someone like me can come in and say, hey, let me get a few shirts for free. You tell me no. Yeah. Like, I really admired that. And I actually, like, because I told Josh, I was like, what's crazy is I would have done the exact same thing. If somebody, even if Josh Merrill came to me and said, hey, Rich, I like these shirts, let me get those. Like, sorry, man. Like, I built an entire life on being honest about what I'm doing. Why would I start now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I really, like, I walked away from that, like, feeling really good.
Yeah.
I got rejected, but I was proud that I got rejected for that reason.
Yeah. So, cool, like, life story, make you relive all that stuff. But super interesting story, man. Thanks for telling it. So, but I guess just like some lean away from that and do some fun stuff. Like, what do you do in your free time? When you're not, living out of a suitcase.
I'll let you know this. My time's not free ever. So I don't have free time. I have a schedule. Right. But what I do schedule in my available time is taking care of myself, elevating the brands or anything that I'm dealing with, like spending time doing that, getting really in tune and being present with my wife and my children, trying to teach my daughter, my oldest, to be a self-sustained person where we don't do the school system. We do what's called unschooling, where we teach them the things that we feel we need to teach them. For now, we're teaching them agriculture. We've just started an LLC for her to start a graphics company so that she's generate money doing that.
Because she's a teenager now.
11.
Yeah.
No, she's 11.
11. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
She's getting there, but really like showing her how to build a schedule. I do this thing called Core 4, where it's like 4 elements of my life that I specifically intentionally do things in. 4 categories being my mind, my body, my relationships, and my business. My mind, I take care of whether I listen to something positive or read something every day, learn something new each day. That's something that I do intentionally. And then with my body, whatever it is that I decide to do in the gym, or if I want to go skating that day, just to kind of like let off that steam, because that's kind of a 2-for-1 for me. Eating clean, drinking a lot of water. And then with my relationships, it's like texting a few friends, hey man, thinking about you, hope everything's good. Reaching out to a friend just to say hi, saying something nice to my wife, writing a letter, leaving it by the coffee maker, saying something nice to my daughters, like just keeping my relationships in check. And then something with my business. So things that I do intentionally with my business every day. And as long as I stay within those 4 categories of doing things, that is all what you would call free time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've heard you talk about the core 4 thing before, and I liked that a lot. And I think you even made like an analogy. I want to say it was like about like table legs. You keep them all even.
Yeah. So like here, boom. You got a table we're sitting at. Right. If one of these tables was one of these legs was being neglected, let's say like one of them's shorter because it's not getting as much attention, this table would topple over. Right. It wouldn't hold its weight. So as long as you're making deposits into those 4 categories each day, deposits, not taking away from those 4 categories, as long as you're making deposits in those 4 categories every day, then your table will remain balanced like it is right here, holding everything up just fine.
Nice.
But the second you start lacking in your business category, you start lacking in your body category, you start lacking over there in your relationships category, you start lacking over there in your mind category, it's not going to be even, right. And you're going to feel out of balance.
Nice. Yeah, makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Have to like start.
So, but it's an intentional thing you have to do every day, not just like, I'm going to do Core 4 like once a week, or every single day you have the plan and you just follow the plan.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. So then one other question before we kind of wrap things up, and it's a really simple one. You travel a lot. When I meet people that do travel a lot, what is your go-to airplane movies?
I actually just started watching airplane movies, believe it or not. Because I think I just ran out of other shit to do.
Yeah.
One of them, the most recent one that I watched was Inception.
Yeah.
With
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, he goes in the dream. Inside the dream.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one was one of them that I watched recently. Another one. Damn, I can't even remember, dude. Like Bullet Train, I think that.
I love Bullet Train.
Yeah, because that's one of those ones you can watch over and over. And
I liked that a lot. I watched that. Me and my wife went to Mexico for our 10th anniversary over Christmas, and so watched that.
Yeah, Bullet Train. Yeah. It's just one of those good movies where you can just watch it over and over. But
So what were you before movies? What were you doing? Like, would you read or?
Yeah, I listen to like audiobooks. I would. I like to journal, and then like if I had like something in my mind where I like needed to just do a brain dump, like I would do a lot of that stuff, and then plan inside of that, and then stuff on my laptop, graphic stuff. Like I own a company where I do a lot of graphics, that I also started my daughter doing as well. Nice. So that because when I hit the floor, like when I'm working, like when I land wherever I'm going, I'm full, like, you see me, dude. It's like nonstop. So there's no graphics that can get done in those times. So anytime that I have time where, like, nobody's asking me for stuff, because you can't even get a hold of me on the plane anyway. So I got hours typically, and I just sit there and just knock all my shit out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So, dude, again, thanks for coming on. I just know, like, I'd heard your story from some other podcasts and stuff, and just knowing, you're kind of well-known in the industry at this point, and just seeing, like, meeting you, and kind of hearing what you say, like how you carry yourself, and kind of how you present certain thoughts. I was like, man, this is a guy that, from your story, I mean, you could have every excuse to just go through life being an asshole, right? Like, which a lot of people can, but I mean, just hearing your experiences, I could probably hear somebody else with something very similar to yours, and he's going to probably be an egotistical dick, right? Because the world is going to let you do that.
I needed to be humbled. So understand that when I woke up that day, January 1st of 2019, there was a whole different perspective. It was a whole different paradigm shift. Everything was different. Like it was, I had started my first round of 75 hard. I started listening to Ed Milet before he became what he is now. This is when, I don't know if you know. Okay, so he's super just like an Andy Frisella. Like him and I the both of them have like a business together called
First Form, right? It's not
not First Form. What's their little group called? Not little.
I'm not sure. I know Andy Frisella from First Form, right?
He has that, but then they also have like a coaching group together.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't think of it in the moment. Anyway, so dude's like worth $100 million, just super baller, and he just has a lot of mindset hacks, and that's really where it started with me. Was Ed Milet's early content before he blew up and became this like super famous dude. Was he was giving out like the real psychological nuggets, like, hey, if you're going through this, do this with your mind, think this, and then do this, and then everything changes. And I started like, okay, I started playing with these mind tricks, and then I started 75 hard. And then I remember I finished my first round, and this was a really, really pivotal moment for me, because I remember I wasn't even through it yet. I was almost through it. And I remember I looked at myself in the mirror, right in the fucking eyes, and I was actually proud of the person I was looking at, because I got off drugs. I fucking rebuilt myself to start a screen printing business. My body was looking great. I was doing the things I said I was going to do, keeping the promises I made to myself. My self-confidence was going back up. I started thinking again, because after I got off drugs, even though I was used to firing on all cylinders very quickly. When you have a company that's making that much money, there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of like things that need your attention. So it was always like boom, boom, boom. Everything was never like, there was never a task left to do the next day. Everything was always fucking taken care of. And then when I got off the drugs, it was like I couldn't even like think a clear thought. It was weird. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, am I ever going to come out of this? Like, am I ever going to start thinking again, like the way I did? And I don't even know if I still do. You know what I mean? But I feel like I started coming back. But that was a really big scare for me, like coming off that shit. Yeah, I don't even know why I was saying that. But anyways.
So, yeah, man. But like I said, like you're almost like some of the stuff you're saying at the end of your interview that I taped for you today, which we'll tell people where to go find that in a second. But like, it's like, man, this guy's like, you always come off as like this, like modern day monk. Like he had these like tidbits of information, like almost like what Aubrey Marcus wishes he was. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, he's awesome.
Well, I think I just says flowery words and then like gives your wife ayahuasca to bang her or something.
That's I think he's on the freak side for sure.
Like that's what he's like. He's a sex cult and he knows how to talk. And,
what's funny is my wife was thinking, she was like, dude, I really like what they have going on, like this community. But then she's like, I think this guy's a fucking freak. I think he's just using it to be a freak.
Oh yeah. I think it's kind of fairly well known by people.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I'm like separate from that a little bit.
But then he uses like the spiritual stuff. But if you ever actually listen to what he says and a lot of that stuff, it's like it's not even spiritual. It's just like you're just saying words because like some bored housewife thinks this is the way she wants to live her life now, kind of thing. Like it's whatever. But
cool. But I just try, like I said, man, I read a lot, and there's things these aha moments that hit me, and I like to like share that with people. Like even if it's just one sentence, one line. Right. Like, fuck, that sounds tight. Like, and that really means a lot, and it hits me to the core. I want my audience to see that, so I'll share those lines that I read or that I hear, and then people are just like, "Oh my God, thank you for saying that." It's not really original content that I came up with. Some of it is like I'll just have my own thoughts, but like a lot of it is just like I hear something really special, and then like I want you to hear that because it's gonna resonate with you as well.
Well, I mean, you could take those. I mean, you could take. I think probably what a lot of it is for a lot of people is you take those things that impact you. and you can interpret it in your own way.
Yeah, well, that's what
and
it
impart
is.
that on other people, right?
Yes.
Like this is how I interpret this phrase.
That's
right?
pretty much how I do it. So it's like through my experiences, this meant this to me in like this system that of this situation, you know, and a lot of people can relate with that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, what's next? Where can people find you?
Well, I just started the website kingtilley.com, Tilley. That is going to be a site that's going to be based around a core 4 concept. I haven't really actually, this is the first time I'm really talking about it, but right now it's really designated in the business department, which is screen print related. So I'm giving all the tips and the business stuff and the vlogs and all that kind of stuff that are business related. There's still other segments of the website that I'm building out, which will include like a health section, like all these crazy, like holistic things that I've been learning, like organic honey, you know, things to like revitalize your body, and cayenne pepper and all these things that I've been learning that's like to fix you as a person organically without the stupid medical system. And then stuff related to life and thought-provoking things like we were just talking about, like the books that I read. A lot of people, like I post, like, you know, I highlight some of the books that I read and like underline some of the things that really resonated with me. And people are always like, oh, what book is that? What book is that? What book is that? So it's like, hey, there's gonna be a space that's gonna have all that. Like you don't even have to ask me. Like, and maybe when I post whatever book that day, there'll be a link to it on my site. So if you really wanted to get the book, there it is. And then my physical fitness stuff, obviously. So like stuff related to physical fitness, you know, all that type of shit that I do. So
yeah, you're jacked, dude.
Not really.
Come on.
I can do better.
How old are you?
38.
38. You're looking good, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm 35, and I'm over here like.
What's crazy is it wouldn't even take you a year.
Oh, I know. It's all, dude. It's all me, man. I understand. It's all me.
Yes. 100%.
I've gone hard on fitness before. I found that what my body seems to respond best to is not so much like heavy weight training, but like I do it like probably the best I felt and looked was I was doing a lot of boxing and kickboxing and that kind of stuff.
I love
Because I've tried, dude. I tried, and I was younger. I was in my 20s, dude. I was like personal trainer, 10,000 calories a day, 2 a days weightlifting, because I was like 6'1".
Yeah, see, that's like over the top.
But I was like 6'1", 135 pounds, dude. I was fucking tiny.
What?
And I ate 10,000 calories a day for a month. And granted, it's not fucking Burger King, man. Like I was like regimen of stuff that's like not fun to eat. It wasn't a fun 10,000 calories.
No,
I did it for a
way.
month and I gained 2 pounds.
That's out of this world.
So,
yeah, you have a really, really high metabolism.
And then got married and somehow in my 30s started getting in just better shape, you know, gaining weight in the right places. But yeah, you know, I understand it's all me. You know,
well, I mean, you could also do like jujitsu and like other things where like where being like more lean is actually better for you.
Yeah,
you know?
that's. I want to get back to it, and I plan to. It's just new house, and where I was working out is now 40 minutes the other direction.
Yeah, everything is 40 minutes.
My
away
kid's
from you
school is 2 minutes from the house, and they have the most insane hours. That like who works like drop offs like 8:40, pickups at 3:40. Like who works?
Yeah.
Who work like what parents work these hours, man? So I'm gonna get on it. Well, I'll just have you. There's a Planet Fit next door to my full time, so I'll just have you give me like the Planet Fitness workout.
Dude, it's easy. I only train for like half an hour a day.
Yeah.
But it's just compounded over time. Like I'm very active during the day. Like that press, each one of those print heads is freaking heavy.
Yeah.
Like to anybody else picking those up, they would die putting that press here. I put it together easily. But I train my body for what I do.
Yeah.
So I pick up heavy shit. So I work out with heavy shit. So it's not like my work is not that. It's just regular, you know?
So, so kingtilley.com. Gonna have right now. You got kind of some like business ended stuff, but building it to have all your stuff.
All kinds of cool stuff.
You got a new YouTube page, right?
Yeah, that's. I think it's just King Tilley as well.
Yep. So I will put all of the links in the description for this.
Thank you.
So definitely go follow him because anybody that knows, even though it's not necessarily podcasting, but any kind of content creation, especially YouTube, dude, getting subscribers rolling, like it's slow.
Yeah.
And it can be frustrating as shit sometimes, you know.
I've just learned to just detach from the results.
Yeah.
Because that's what stresses you out. I'll post something and I'll have to tell myself detach,
Yeah.
because it might mean a lot to me, but other people might see it, and half the world is fucking zombies anyways.
Yeah.
So they might not even respond well to what I'm posting.
Right.
And some of the stuff I post is a higher level of like understanding and consciousness. So it's like they may not even understand it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this out there. It may get 2 likes for all I give a shit.
Right. Yeah.
But as long as it resonates with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did the same thing when I started this. I was like, why don't I have like 1,000 subscribers already? I know people.
Yeah.
But then eventually I learned, like, know what? Fuck the numbers. Like, I'm not doing this for them.
Yeah.
You know. But I am. I'm doing it. Like, stay subscribed. I'm doing it for you guys.
For all
You
you
know.
guys, don't worry.
But like this is for me. I just like doing this. So I'm
This
gonna
is
put it
really
out there.
cool.
Watch it if you like it. If you don't like what I say, you know, half the time, like, because this is a pretty normal conversation.
Yeah.
Typically, like I was saying, our probably most popular episode was a co-host of mine was an ER nurse, and she had a guy come in with a infected colostomy hole. And it turns out he had syphilis because he was making a little extra cash pimping out his colostomy hole.
What?
Yeah. So that's shit can get wild sometimes.
Somebody was doing that to him?
But so that's what, like, whenever somebody hears it for the first time, it's either he was doing that. My first reaction was like people were paying
somebody
to jam their dick in some dude's colostomy hole, like.
Oh,
So
what is this life, man?
I know. Yeah, you hear some crazy stories out there, dude.
Oh man.
Had another guy call in one time because his Prince Albert got stuck on his girlfriend's IUD.
No way.
Yeah.
They were stuck together?
Yeah. So then, like, while they're like trying to get it unhooked, he's losing it. And as it's shrinking, it's pulling it out. So then they had to call in the girl's roommate to, keep him, fluff him up while they're trying to get the damn thing untangled from inside of her. Yeah.
What the fuck?
You didn't think the night was going to end this way, did you?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But now you're never going to forget it. So.
No, I'm going to try to.
But yeah, keep you up at night. But.
Colostomy hole or whatever that's called. That's
so.
Oh, all right.
But anyways, dude, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Again, everybody, I'll post the links. Go, find him on Instagram. He's got some really awesome content on Instagram. It's not even like, most of it's not even specifically screen printing based. It's
everywhere.
It is from screen printing, but it is a very universal messages you're typically sending.
It's definitely not like, there are screen printing related stuff, but it's like, it's not just for screen printers,
Yeah.
like.
So, and then, again, the YouTube, all that, I'll post the links to all that in the descriptions. And then, as for Nooner Nation, dude, everybody knows the drill. Go like and subscribe on YouTube and, YouTube, mixed up. And then 5-star review on iTunes. And then, leave reviews. For whatever reason, that's kind of how iTunes does their metrics and how many reviews you get a week. Not so much how many listens you get, which is whatever.
They want engagement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They just want people on their website or on their
on the app. They want on the app because you can't do
they
it
want
from
your attention.
Yep. So and then Spotify, just leave a 5-star, walk away. But yeah, so this has been the Nooner Nation. Good night, everyone.